It's crazy for me to ever think that 15 years ago, I had no idea where my career was headed as a YouTuber. YouTube has been around since April 23rd, 2005, and along the way, I tried to fall into a niche. I tried to become accepted by a niche. And lo and behold, that niche just happened to be Descendants of Zombies for me because it allowed me to discover my passion for creating YouTube. And I would go on to create far more Descendants of Zombies videos, more than anybody really, over 1,300 in total at this point. And it happened because of all of you, because one person saw one video I uploaded, which eventually became 1,000. Then 1,000 turned to 2,000. 2,000 became 5,000. And it's been somewhat of a developing trend. This YouTube channel pops up on somebody's home YouTube page at least 16,000 times per day. And on average, that averages out to over 564,000 times per month. And that really says a lot about how much these stories that I've shared with you guys have touched your hearts. Stories about how I just wanted to spend more time with my friends that I really appreciated. We had dreams of becoming an indie rock band. I can't say that we ever achieved our dreams, but it was a dream we had, a crazy dream years ago when we were in high school, like many of your favorite Disney stars often had. I had a dream of becoming a pro wrestler that never really panned out the way I wanted it to. And now I'm sitting at home recording a podcast from my own home studio from my bedroom. And this YouTube channel has become everybody's favorite because I simply believe in your favorite characters and their stories. And I wanted to share in those stories with all of you. Stories about Princess Red, stories about Chloe Charming, stories about Bridget, who was my all-time favorite Descendants character. Shout out to you, Ruby. I love you so much, man. And I think your future is never seeming to be more brighter than ever before. And I can't wait to share in all these wonderful memories we have yet to create for you and all your favorites from Descendants, because we have so many wonderful characters that we all love, that we've often appreciated. Characters from Zombies we also all love and appreciate more than ever before. People like Freya Sky, who are making waves in this industry, recording beautiful music, putting beautiful lyrics to beautiful melodies, which is something I've taken the time to appreciate. Songs like Silent Treatment, which are tearing up the Billboard charts. Silent Treatment is definitely up there as one of everybody's favorite songs. And of course, it's for good reason, because it's a relatable song that often relates to something that you may be going through yourself, as all your favorite characters who are writing songs that often relate to something that you may be going through yourself, like Red, how she just wants to achieve acceptance from within inside Wonderland. And Wonderland has been considerably changed. It's been modernly updated for Wicked Wonderland, which we will see for the first time make its premiere on Disney Channel and Disney Plus through July 16th through the 17th. And I'm really excited to be a part of it and sharing all these memories we have yet to create with all of you. The thing that I really appreciated are how Red's friendships have been challenged in Descendants Wicked Wonderland. That's something I really appreciate, because the challenges they faced along the way have only made their friendships more stronger. Friendships with Chloe Charming, friendships with Maddox Hatter, because she believed that Maddox Hatter was her one true only friend in Descendants Wicked Wonderland. So I think that their friendship being challenged is only going to prove dividends for everybody. And I think that when they finally see it through, they're going to let bygones be bygones and patch things up and become stronger as friends, which is something really beautiful for us all to witness. I really appreciate how the costumes have been updated. I really appreciate how the personalities really seem to be over the top, filled with exuberance and so many exuberant moments for us all to appreciate. I really appreciate how, of course, Pink, Leomani Segura's character, has randomly kind of just showed up in the midst of things and says, yeah, I'm here to have fun, because she really reminds me of myself. Because oftentimes throughout my journey in high school, I was really there to have fun more than anybody else in the room. And I always enjoyed putting smiles on people's faces. And I really appreciate how early on in the movie, Red really appreciates that she has a sister while she tries to navigate the challenges of sisterhood and the many challenges it will present for her and, of course, Pink along the way. But it's nothing really they can't see through, because many of us have our own sister or brother that we don't really see eye to eye with. We have arguments with every day. We're always fighting with. But the most beautiful thing about our friendship with our brothers and sisters are we often see eye to eye at the end of every day and every conversation, because when they look at us and they call us their hero, there's no greater feeling in the world. Because the reason why sometimes, if you ever really think about it, why your brother or your sister tends to drive you nuts and absolutely crazy is because they've often thought of you as their hero, and you are their one and only hero. So I think that's something to really think about and really put into perspective the next time that we never really see eye to eye or we have the occasional fight. And I think that's what Descendants of Zombies has really beautifully illustrated and often put into perspective. It's just how much stronger the bond between two sisters or a brother you might have may be than we probably ever admitted to. I think that this story really exemplifies an appreciation for peer pressure, exemplifies an appreciation for sisterhood and the many challenges it faces along the way. And that's why the story has become that much deeper, like it happened for Descendants 2 some time ago, all the way back to 2017, a Back to the Future moment happening here. But all the way back to 2017, just throw yourself back to that year. It was a deeper story because the friendship of Mal and Evie faced its challenges along the way because Mal was trying to achieve acceptance, something that she had great deal of difficulty struggling with throughout her time as a Descendants character. And in Descendants 2, the story was something we really took a greater appreciation away from because of how their friendship was really tested along the way. And now Red and Chloe faced their fair share of challenges along the way also. Do you guys remember when, of course, Red wanted to feed Chloe to the Jabberwocky in Descendants: The Rise of Red? She was kind of just merely joking with her because she said it was a monster that ate annoying girls. But she was just letting Chloe know in her own way that as annoying as she was to her, she was also one of her best friends. And they would go on to become some of the best friends that we had ever witnessed in this franchise. And throughout the course of it, I don't think we ever had the chance to witness something as special as what their friendship would go on to become. It's something that's been so relatable to so many wonderful people who've often been reminded of their friendships with their very best friends that they had the chance to attend the Worlds Collide tour with. And I know this to be true because I saw many of your guys' photos you were throwing up, taking selfies of yourself in the crowd. And you guys gave me what I wanted from you. You guys gave me the time of your lives because I wanted you to go and I wanted you to have the time of your life. While others chose to sit on their YouTube channels behind their microphone and criticize events like the Worlds Collide Tour, Nights of Your Lives, I wanted you to go and I wanted you to have fun. And I always wanted you to take something special away from it, whether that be incentive, whether that be some inspiration. I wanted you to take something special away from the Worlds Collide Tour and never ever forget these moments. You know, oftentimes throughout the night, I will watch these clips of performances done by Freya Sky and Malachi Burton for Dream Come True. And I just actually watched it before I pushed record tonight. And the thing that often resonates with me is just how beautiful of a performance this was and how emotionally connected everybody was to it. I think that was everybody's favorite performance from the tour. It was either that or Freya performing the song Gold Scum, which was really the title track off of her debut EP. And it was really something so cool to see Freya Sky do because Freya had never had the chance to really have these moments experienced. I mean, what do you really know at 16 years old? And what Freya knows is that at just 16 years old, she is recording far more beautiful music than Taylor Swift ever really did. And I say this because I was there when I saw Taylor Swift release her first ever debut album. It was self-titled Taylor Swift, and there was one song that really put Taylor Swift over. Of course, it was called Tim McGraw. And since the release of that song, Taylor Swift just blew up unexplainably. But there was so much competition for Taylor to contend with back in 2008. And I really do believe there is far more competition for people like Taylor to contend with now in 2026, especially when it comes to people like Freya and Kylie and Malia who are really recording beautiful songs. That may merely be for a soundtrack like Descendants Wicked Wonderland, but in Kylie's case and Freya's case, they're releasing some of the hottest selling EPs. They are releasing some of the hottest listened to singles with over 500 million streams on Spotify and Apple Music. So if there ever was somebody or somebodies to contend with for Taylor Swift, definitely Kylie Cantrell and Freya Sky have to be up there. Taylor Swift was never really somebody that I was ever really a fan of because Taylor Swift was just somebody who was kind of caught up in moments. And she was never really somebody who really took the time to appreciate the moments that she shared in with all of you because you are what always made people like Taylor Swift and Ariana Grande forever special. You were what presented moments like Ariana Grande to perform as Belinda the Good Witch in Wicked. You were always the ones who made the Eras tour for Taylor Swift so special. And I've always believed that tours like this can really happen for Descendants and Zombies. If these moments are supposed to be celebrated, then we should be celebrating and honoring you for making events like the Eras tour, which was seen by over 10 million people, and the Worlds Collide tour that was seen by thousands on top of thousands on top of thousands of people. Notice the pattern because you guys were more than just cell phone flashlights lighting up every crowd because in every crowd of 20,000 people, every cell phone flashlight, the way I perceived it, was a story. Kind of like how I shared my story with you, a story that I never imagined would go on to be taken so seriously, by really thousands of people. Thousands of people have come from afar, really from everywhere, to hear this guy's crazy stories about what made him a fan of all things Disney, which eventually became all things Descendants and Zombies. I appreciated the fashion sense. I appreciated the characters and their individual stories. But what I really appreciated were all these moments that I had the chance to share with all of you that may have came in the form of talking about my crazy obsession for pro wrestling action figures and collecting video games, because the same thing happened for you guys when it came to Descendants dolls and all this wonderful Descendants merch that may have came in the form of, I don't know, Descendants posters, which I have too, which I have no idea how I'm ever going to collaborate as a part of my YouTube backdrop, because I have so many wonderful nostalgic characters on my wall there. My wall nostalgia is something I've never really wanted to part with, but I will find a way of incorporating those Descendants posters. The thing is, whatever you're passionate about, you should always be encouraged to, follow along with your passions and really pursue your dreams, because that's exactly what your favorite stars did. They shared in that same incentive. And the more that we can make their dreams more of a realization, that's what makes every moment for what I do as a YouTuber worth it in the end. Because at the end of every conversation, the only hope I've ever seemed to have is that I was going to come away as an inspiration for so many wonderful people long after I hang up this headset for what I believe will be the final time, whenever that's going to be. I would like to believe that I'm going to leave behind a legacy that you guys have really helped me carve out. Because I think that every YouTuber out there, even if they choose to admit to it or not, wants to carve out and leave behind a legacy. And that's all I've ever really wanted to ensure for your favorite stars. How I would go about doing that, I had no idea. I had no idea I'd fall down through that proverbial rabbit hole, and along the way meet so many incredible people who would forever feel so strongly about Descendants of Zombies, and in turn make me a stronger person, because I set up my own home studio. I jump on here whenever I feel like it and record a video with my thoughts in it on all things Descendants of Zombies. I share in this story. The latest chapter of the story, of course, is Down Through the Rabbit Hole, the latest book in the Step Into Read series for Descendants, and I really appreciate that, because they're following suit in Harry Potter's trend, because they're releasing more books than ever before. They may not be at the same level of R.L. Stein's Goosebumps or Harry Potter quite yet, with over 600 million copies for Harry Potter and over 500 million copies being sold for Goosebumps. But I think they can really get there, because you guys are buying these books by the million. The first book series sold over 9 million books. The dolls sold over 9 million units. And why do you think that was? Target was blowing up, Walmart was blowing up, Amazon was blowing up. The dolls were being sold for reasonable prices, but they could have been lower. And that's why I always said that you guys deserve better access to this kind of stuff. And I was going to lower the prices of all of the Descendants merch. I was going to go out of my way to make it more accessible for all of you and make this a deeper story that many of us would really appreciate, because I forever saw strength and empowerment in these characters and their stories. Because if there was one thing that these stories often represented, it was empowerment, and people felt encouraged about that empowerment, so much so they would join sports teams. They would feel so confident in drawing and coloring their favorite characters, which I know you guys have done a really fabulous job, an exceptionally fabulous job really doing. And some of you are so talented. Some of you are the greatest artists I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not just saying that because you're fans of Descendants of Zombies like I've always been, because I know what I saw. And I saw so much potential in your drawings and your colorings, and just how passionate you felt about Descendants of Zombies. Now, while you may have never taken it upon yourself to move into a house near a soda plantation and a chemical plant like yours truly did, that didn't mean that you weren't a fan of Descendants of Zombies, because you were a fan of Descendants of Zombies in your own unique way. And when it came to moving into a residency near a soda plantation and a chemical plant, yes, you should leave that up to the professionals. I have no idea how I ended up in this crazy situation in a house that I seriously think is haunted, but I'm here. And it allowed me to really create videos that, shared so much incentive for so many wonderful people, that so many people took something special away from. I've really believed that Descendants of Zombies was always real in the hearts of so many wonderful people, for how connected and just how special you thought of these franchises and their stories always being, because I remember being there for the premieres of High School Musical back in 2006. I saw it on Disney Channel. High School Musical 2 has the all-time record, the milestone record, of over 7.2 million people, I do believe, tuning in on the night of its premiere. And Descendants never really shattered the record. They had 9.2 or something tune in for Descendants 2, but I could never remember so many crossover opportunities being presented for one franchise. Lifetime had it. The Hallmark Channel had it. There were so many people who just wanted to get in on the action. The W Network had it, which was the sister channel to the Hallmark Channel here in Canada. So many people just wanted to get in on the action that Descendants was really presenting, the feeling that you got from it, which had everything to do with how popular Descendants always was. People like Dove Cameron were appearing on red carpet after red carpet. They were being interviewed all the time. And the cool thing was, 10 years ago, the PR for Descendants happened within 1 month, just like it is now for Descendants, the original film of the franchise. And now we're seeing about a month before Descendants Wicked Wonderland drops, 2 weeks away from it as of now, but a month before the movie premiered, the PR has been kicked into a whole nother level. So because the PR has been kicked into a whole nother level, there's always something to believe in. There's always something to feel inspired by, even if that is your favorite fairy tale. And I've often talked about my appreciation for Disney princesses, many of whom you see there on that wall, from Belle to Ariel to Snow White, because I remember watching the original stories and just how precious they were in my heart and precious in the hearts of many people who will like watch these videos. Stories about Belle, stories about Snow White, and stories about Aurora, which was a story, the one Disney princess story that was never really given enough appreciation. It received its fair share of criticism back in 1958, which was over 75 years ago, I do believe. But I remember how Sleeping Beauty was never really given much of a chance, and it was one of those classics that received its fair share of criticism, from the script and how it was developed to the animation quality. It received criticism in so many general ways. But the thing that people never really appreciated was how a girl fell into a deep slumber and was awoken by true love's kiss, and just how precious moments like these are. What if we could see that happen for, say, Red and Louise and, of course, Descendants Wicked Wonderland, which could happen? What if Red discovered magic in a whole new way and substituted the pocket watch for a locket? Because I know that if I, figuratively speaking, had a locket, I think I would preserve the memories that Descendants created for all of us in that locket, and I would forever and always keep it. I've always appreciated how magic happens in so many unique ways, and oftentimes ways that we really don't really take time to really appreciate or put into perspective. So what if she was to opt out of the pocket watch for something like a locket? That would be really, really cool. I've loved her appreciation for jewelry and how authentic she's really made that character, because I've always believed that character was one of the strongest that I ever saw in my life. The shape that she's in, the dedication that she always shows for her characters along with Heart, really have come a long way. Because when you see what they've had to endure in terms of criticism, there really was no need for any criticism being offered to people who just wanted to be given something to really believe in. And after a 5-year hiatus had been seen from Descendants, we finally got that. We finally saw that appreciation kind of shining through with the Rise of Red, which I know received criticism from the length of the story to the way the plot was distributed. Everything received criticism in its own unique way, but what kept this story alive were really all of you. Well, who's been promoting Descendants all along were all of us, because we really came together and we really created something special. And in turn, we gave something special back to everybody who just wanted to believe in this story more and more. I really love my time covering Descendants of Zombies, and I am somebody who's never really wanted this story to be over, to have seen its conclusion, because I know that there are people who refer to this as a dramatic conclusion that is forthcoming. There are people who have referred to this as a duology and nothing more. But I am someone who is here to challenge those predictions and say we will see a trilogy, despite what may have happened behind closed doors, because we were never really there. We never really know what happened. So because we never really knew what happened, I don't think it's our place to really pass judgment on anything that may have happened. I think that there are people who have obviously been made to feel differently, but because of this YouTube channel, you no longer have to feel that way, nor do you ever have to feel alone, because I'm here to tell you guys that there is somebody out there in this really big world, even with how big this world seems to be on times, who loves Descendants of Zombies just as much as what you have over the years and over time, and really loves it with all of their heart. And that's what's made this so special for me, is that this channel has become a platform and an outlet to make people feel that much closer together and never really have to feel apart nor alone. And that's what I've loved about creating videos, is that it gives you a chance and an opportunity, if anything, to present more people with incentive and encouragement to make them feel stronger and to make themselves likewise, like their favorite Descendants characters, to feel empowerment. Because the thing is, there's always been something special to me about empowerment. While I can't speak from everybody else's perspective and really tell you how they feel about Descendants and Zombies, what I can tell you on a beautiful evening such as this, where I have my window open, and of course you guys can hear the wind blowing in through the window, I know that Descendants has presented us with more of a chance to believe in something so special. What that something special may be, I really don't know, because I'm just simply merely speaking from the perspective of a fan, but I do know that we are in store for something incredibly special that we all have the chance to be a part of, for really the first time ever. When I first began uploading videos about Descendants of Zombies over a decade ago, I had no idea that I would become so well received or recognized or revered as one of the most popular voices and by far one of the most dedicated in the history of Descendants of Zombies. Because oftentimes, more often than enough, there are people who will promise you this content that really never seems to surface or be followed through with. And every single night and every single morning, I upload at least one video with my thoughts in it to share with you guys on the future of Descendants of Zombies because it's one that I believe that has yet to be had or experienced. And there's always an opportunity to believe in something different, something new, something innovative, far more innovative with that to believe in than perhaps ever before. Because no matter if you come from the generation of far or the generation of past, however you've discovered my YouTube channel, however you found me, thank you so much for always being a fan of, say, the original trilogy or this new take on Descendants, however you want to receive it as. Thank you so very much for having chosen this YouTube channel as obviously what has become your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel, because it's just been so much of an honor for me to be able to create and produce these videos. As much fun as it's been for you to watch these incredible videos that have always held a very special place in my heart. Thank you so very much for allowing me the opportunity to have represented you as a dedicated voice, if anything, for Descendants of Zombies through the years, and something I hope to continue to be for many wonderful people in the years to follow, because there is so much to look forward to, so many wonderful characters that we have already met, but so many we have yet to meet. All my favorite characters have kind of come and gone out of these franchises, but I still have so many characters kind of holding on to these moments, like Kylie and Malia, who have really grown up and become far more stronger than I ever imagined they would be, but I'm so proud to call myself a fan of them, as you should be too. And I think this YouTube channel presents you with more incentive, more creative energy, and more of an imaginative thought than perhaps ever before. Because you could search 1,000 years over on YouTube tonight and never hear somebody talk as dedicatedly about Descendants of Zombies or passionately about Descendants of Zombies as what I have, because I've really had the time of my life, and there are no other words that could honestly describe how I've been made to feel. And this happened because so many wonderful people saw the incentive and really heard my message overseas in mountains, which I can never seem to say thank you enough for. Because of you, this YouTube channel has become one of the most recognized in history and has become everybody's favorite, and I have all of you to thank. So with that having been said, thank you so much from my heart to yours on this beautiful evening, just 1 hour about before midnight. Thank you so much for always believing in the magic that's always existed in our hearts for Descendants of Zombies, and always trusting in me as a trusted voice of anything for Descendants of Zombies, with so much tremendous heart and dedication being exemplified more often than enough. Thank you so much for always having chosen this YouTube channel as obviously what has become your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel that has ever been created, and possibly of all time. We will pick up this conversation tomorrow evening just after sunset, which is a conversation I hope you will join me for, because we have so much to get into and elaborate on and talk about when it comes to the future of Descendants of Zombies. In under 2 weeks, the premiere of Wicked Wonderland will happen on Disney Channel. The very next night will happen on Disney Plus, and through July 16th through 17th and beyond, this story has so much more of a conversation to elaborate on, get in on, and really have a whole lot of fun with. And I think it all begins with your predictions, your thoughts, and your theories, which really makes everything happen for these franchises as a whole. And I can't wait to keep on jumping down through that rabbit hole and be a part of all of this and to share in all of this with really all of you. Thank you so much for holding a very special place in your heart for me and this channel and all of your favorite characters, along with all of your favorite moments, and for always having chosen this YouTube channel as emphatically your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel of all time. From my heart to yours, thank you so very much for always and forever having watched these videos.